I wanted to talk about this little like went off out of my head like a long time ago. It was probably like 5 years, but it has like a weird story behind it, like a really kind of like devastating story. So, I have all these photos from back in the day where it was just like kind of leading up to this moment, and like it was really weird circumstance to be in. Okay, like one of my family members, my dad's brother, actually, he had a blockage that went to his brain. Like he had a lot, I think, in like his feet or something. So we had to go out to this hospital, because like he couldn't do anything, he couldn't move. He was essentially dead at that point. I mean, like he could kind of communicate, but at the same time, we all knew that he was gone, and we wouldn't have much time left with him. And at this point, like we lost a lot of people on that side of the family. Especially like right there during COVID, and like a little towards the end of COVID. I mean, like my whole family like dynamic was really like there's a lot of tragedy, and there's a lot of death, and like this specific one was like one that hit really hard. So, I remember going to the hospital and seeing everybody and being in that waiting room. Got called back and we saw it, you know what I mean? Like we saw him, and it was like really hard because everyone was taking it so hard and everyone was so sad. Everyone was there, and we all kind of just like knew the common kind of like thing, like the common feeling in the room. So, I was really close. I got close to my grandpa, and like physically I was close, and I saw him, and like it was super devastating. It was super depressing. Like I didn't know what to say. I didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like I've never really said anything to somebody who's dying. Like I understand, like people have told me in the past, like, hey, you can say something, they can hear you. I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I hate to be that person. Like, I'm here, but I don't know what to say. Anyway, I was there, I saw him. And I remember, like, being there and, the energy, all that. And then I just remember being out in the waiting room again. And I just remember, like, crying, so fucking hard. Like, me and my brother are there. And we're just, like, crying so fucking hard out in this waiting room. And, like, it was kind of, like, a mixture of, like, really intense grief and a little bit of embarrassment. Because, like, there are people out here. And, like, I don't know, it still fucks with me today. So, like, I just remember, like, I've seen somebody through, like, the tears, and, like, I was just like, I don't want to be doing this right now. I really don't. I think we left. We went on to, like, the food court or something, and I just kind of, like, I was like, I want him to get better. There's that. I used this photo in art. I took a picture of, like, this garden. It's like a little peace garden. Inside, you get the zen, the water, you hear it, and everything's kind of like really beautiful right here in the spot. So I'm like sitting over there at one point, just kind of like, taking it all in. And like I'm just all like, I want this to get better. I want him to be like better. I want something to be better. So anyway, I remember like seeing him in hospice, and like it was another really depressing thing to see. Spending more time with my grandpa at that moment. I never really spent a ton of time with my grandpa, since I was like a little kid maybe. But, at that time we went over and visited and we listened, and, everyone was like upset. And anyway, he would end up passing away, and I think that night that like, I was really depressed. Really grief struck and like in mourning, like I didn't write this, but like I did like these guitar tracks because like I didn't know what to say, and I didn't want to like put like vocals to this because it was like, it was too much. But anyway, I made like 3 guitar tracks, I think. And I sat on them for a really long time. So I was like, I really just wanted people to like listen to my music and like know the context and the lore, and I wanted people to like understand like that this came from a genuine place, and like this was like me really just doing something for the fact that like, that I'm so fucking like devastated. And I was like super like ego driven about it. And like I was just like really, really messed up about it. So anyway, I sat on this album for a really long time. I don't remember how long, maybe a few months. Back then it was a really long time, but like, I don't know. But anyway, I feel like I did a follow-up or something that I probably did release that was like the same idea, but like, less personal. But I don't know, this is one of those deaths that really hit me. Maybe because I saw my dad in him a little bit, Not that I have the most, like, strong relationship with my dad, but, like, it's just, like, there's this part of me that, like, this dude didn't really get to experience life like a normal person. Like, he was a normal person. Like, don't get me wrong. But, like, if anyone knew him or saw him on the outside, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be, like, really sketched out by the guy. But, like, the dude had a good heart. And, like, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, certain times of his life. And I knew him my entire life. And, I never had a problem with the dude. I never seen that side of him. There might have been, like, genuine things you can say about the guy, but, like, the dude really had his life ruined for a certain, like, there's no coming back from something like that. But, it wasn't him. That wasn't him. And it's really, like, devastating to me that somebody so close to me can have their life ruined like that. And, like, then he just dies in this, like, horrific way. But, I don't know. I don't want to speak ill on anybody. I want to say, like, this album was just, like, very introspective effort, and, like, it meant a lot to me, and, like, it was a very reflective period. But, like, this small little project that came out of it was so, like, minuscule, and, like, I was, like, super hurt that no one would ever know all the context and lore behind this. Like, I'm a storyteller at the end of the day. So, like, this one is really hard to get through. It's really hard to communicate. But I really wish I had the opportunity to, and, like, make this album. I don't know. Like, I have no clue.